Hello. Today I would like to talk about service design and how it can support business domains and entrepreneur challenges. My name is Chihiro Sato. I am a senior assistant professor at Keio University, Graduate School of Media Design in Japan. So I'd like to first start talking about what is service design and why design is effective. So as you can tell from the word service design means to design a service, which it makes a lot of sense, right? So today, I'd like to first start with the word design. What does it mean to design? So design in this talk is not just about the aesthetics, but also about structuring. And design is about structuring something new to provide new value to other people. So that, I mean, you think that makes a lot of sense, but you actually have to start from not knowing what exactly the issue is, nor what the requirements are. People actually don't really know what they want in the reality. So then it's also about not structuring the framework in order to provide the value for the people that you do want to target. The reality, unfortunately, in this world is very uncertain, it's very incomplete, and it's contradictory. Like the world we live in now, it's very unfortunate, but we don't know what's going to be happening tomorrow or the week after, right? So there were philosophers, researchers in the past decades that identified the various problems and separated them into two different problems, which are called tame problems and wicked problems. And tame problems are a problem that can be solved by choosing and applying the correct algorithm. So then if you want to make like the computer move faster or something, you know what the problem is, so then you probably have to apply the correct algorithm or the correct appropriate manner in order to solve that problem. The other one called wicked problems is we're going to be talking about this one, the wicked problems. So it's about problems that are very difficult or impossible to solve because of the ever-changing requirements that are difficult to recognize. So unfortunately, there is no silver bullet that solves these kinds of problems. And I'm sure that today, those of you that are listening are interested in these wicked problems and how we can tackle these issues. For example, climate change, healthcare, pandemics like we are now, waste, social injustice, education, capital inequality, nuclear weapons, and all these kinds of issues that we all know is very difficult to solve. So there's no silver bullet. But we do need to tackle these issues, right? So then how do we do this? Is actually by designing. So the best way to solve these wicked problems in this very, very complex world is actually by designing. So let's move on to what are we going to be designing. So it's going to be the other part of this word, service design. So so service design is about to design a service. So then we now know what design is about. So then what is service about is the next point that I would want to point out. So service, I'm sure you've heard of this word before as well, but the well-known one and the one I'm going to be talking about is a quite slightly different. So I'd like to first talk about the well-known one that you probably are more familiar with, which are called the primary sectors, secondary sectors, the tertiary sectors. So we all know from the manufacturing days and that the extractive and the manufacturing sectors create goods, which are like vegetables and machines, beds, windows, whatever tangible artifacts that we are familiar with. And usually there's a separation with the services sectors, which are the intangible ones, like hospitality, for example, Transportation is also might be some. So like this is the well-known one that people think that the services are. And there is usually a separation between the goods versus the services. However, service and service design is seen slightly differently, and I would like to give you one example from a quote from the marketing giant Theodore Levitt in the past. It's been more than half a century ago, but he uses a phrase from in one of his writings that customers don't want a quarter-inch drill, they want a quarter-inch hole. So what does this mean? We'd like to dig a bit more deeper. DIY culture in the mid 20th century in the United States was quite big. People wanted to be practical and they wanted to make their own houses, and it was like a big culture. So, it's the ability of making and creating and furnishing your own home was like a big movement. But the most of the people that buy these quarter-inch drills doesn't actually have interest in like how it looks like, or like the detailed functions, or like what's that motor made of, but rather what they're interested in is the fact that the drill can make holes in your furniture and lets you do DIY activities, right? You probably, I mean, if you're like a drill collector, for example, maybe it's a different story, but usually you buy drills because you want to make holes and you want to do something. So then the service in within this context of the DIY activities means that you can make quarter-inch holes by using the drill. So, to sort what I from this example is that when firms or institutions, for example, in this case it's Black and Decker, provide service to the customers, there's actually experience is born within the customers, and this is what service is providing rather than the the manufactured good. So the firm creates a quarter-inch drill. Yes, they produce it for sure, but what's it actually providing to the customers is not just the drill itself, but more the ability to drill that hole. And that in providing that ability through this drill can get this the customers that are living in their houses the ability to fix their broken doors or refurnish their own houses. So then this is actually the important part. Service design is about how to achieve this goal through this scheme of providing the ability to drill a quarter-inch hole. So service design is to design the customer's experience. Actually, it's very beneficial. And goods, in this case, the tangible quarter-inch drill, are considered as intermediaries for the service. Now, this is not something I made up at all. This is comes from the logic in the marketing field called service dominant logic, which were coined by two researchers in the field of marketing back in 2004. And if you are interested in looking more at the theoretical approach, there are books and papers if you do want to look more into it. There's this book called Service Dominant Logic, Premises, Perspectives, and Possibilities. And academic papers, if you are in the academic field, there's more to look into. Okay, so to sum up what I have been telling you today, goods are intermediaries for service. So service design is not to distinguish between goods versus services. No, rather providing the value to provide the value, goods are actually part of the service. So it's not about separation. That quarter-inch drill is very much needed to provide the ability of furnishing your home. So when you are designing user experience for your customers, I'm sure many of you that are listening to today are interested in user experience. You do have to think about the value in context. This is also a very important term in service dominant logic thinking. Value only arrives within, only comes, feels value within the context that they are in. For example, what I want to tell you here about context is when we want to provide the ability of drilling a hole, a quarter-inch hole, for example, I don't think you want to be able to drill that hole when you are starving, and if you want something to eat, and if you're like at a certain cafe, for example, that's not the drill is not there for you. Rather maybe the ability to be able to order things, or maybe the ability to cook things, or might be very relevant. So you do really have to think about what the context you are in when you want that value. So value is very context driven. It changes in the ever changing environment, and situations change a lot. So you do have to have that in mind. If you want to learn more about service design, I do actually have an online course for you, available on the platform FutureLearn. There's this course that I've created that is actually running now, called Methodologies for Service Design. Feel free to check it out. And I would like to end this talk by sharing a teaser movie of the course. And if you are interested in digging how service design can actually really work in practice, and how it can tackle the various fields that you are concerned in that has to do with wicked problems, do feel free to check it out. And I do wish to see you in the course at some point. Okay, so thank you very much for listening. And I hope that I could have given you something interesting. Thank you.
What a drastic change this world is experiencing now. How shall we confront the unpredictable tomorrow and conduct our business for the future? In this course, we will learn how to design a service concept you may have in your mind and how to realize it by utilizing various academic disciplines. We will have 7 experts from the field of innovation management, information architecture, management accounting, startup strategy, marketing strategy, intellectual property, and philosophy. Being such a multidisciplinary field, service design can be adopted to a wide variety of fields, including your everyday life. Let's think together on the methodologies of how to design service that can contribute to our well-being.